Okay, today we're talking about questions, specifically the one question that you absolutely have to ask in your documentary. Just because you found an interesting character doesn't mean that you can make a good documentary on them. If you want to make a documentary that people will actually watch, you've got to answer this one major question by the end of the film. So today we're talking about how to find this central question in your documentary. So what is a central question? I think to wrap our minds around this idea, we need to take a page from the narrative film world. Screenwriters talk about this all the time. In fact, while researching this video, I ran across an article from screencraft.org, which explained it really well for someone like myself who's still trying to master this. You should definitely read it. I'll link it below. Anyway, the author explained it this way. The central question is basically a yes or a no that has to be answered in the film so that it can end. It's kind of the reason the film exists. Maybe another way to look at it is to think of your favorite Netflix murder mystery documentary. Often, the central question is, will they ever find out who did it? Or sometimes it's, will you figure out where the missing person went? Or maybe it's, could they still be alive? The bottom line is, without a central question, your documentary really doesn't have any reason to exist. You're just gonna make a film with a series of disconnected events and maybe an interesting person. All right, so how do you find this magical question in your documentary? In theory, this is actually pretty simple. Figure out what your character wants and then end the documentary when they confront what is stopping them from getting it and either succeed or fail. The really cool thing about this is that you don't actually need them to get what they want to make a meaningful documentary. A documentary that addresses failure can be just as important as one that addresses success. There are a ton of much better examples of this, but one that I can talk about firsthand is from my film, Pulled from the Burning. Without giving you any spoilers, I can tell you that at the beginning of the film, the main character, Ken, who's a pastor in St. Louis, wants to please God, and he wants to do this by having the biggest church in the Midwest. By the end of the documentary, we answer the question, does he please God by becoming a megachurch pastor? And you'll have to watch the film, linked in the description below, to find out. Okay, so once you found the central question, the next step is to use it as a lens for every decision that you make in the filmmaking process. Your question should guide what you shoot and how you edit your documentary. For example, think about the interviews that you'll conduct. The questions you ask your characters should directly or indirectly relate to the central question. And at some point, it might even be helpful to ask them that central question, or maybe a variation of it. And this is kind of a side note, but as your character develops in your documentary, they might change what they want. Don't be afraid of that, because in a way, they are answering the question by setting a new goal for themselves. Some of the most compelling documentaries are ones where the answer to the central question is answered differently than you might think at the beginning. At the end of the day, the central question is a roadmap to guide you as you produce your documentary. If you keep yourself focused on it, you will make your job as a documentarian so much clearer and a lot more fulfilling. All right, that's it for today's video. I hope this helped you think about your documentary in a new way. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends who are passionate about documentary filmmaking. And let me know in the comments below the central question you're exploring in your current project. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.